Well, good morning. It's Monday and we've had a little weather turnaround here in Arizona. Well, welcome back. So like I said, the weather has really shifted around down here in the lower part of the valley. It's supposed to be like 78 today is the high, and it's supposed to rain. So that gave me a little chance to get out here and do some work without any glowing going on. And so I'm going to give you a quick tour, and I wanted to start over here in the former salad bed and herb garden. First thing that I really want to talk about here when we look at this bed is what a challenge it is for me to let something become not so pretty. And that's clearly what's going on here in this bed. It looks like it's just very neglected, but when you come up close, that's where you see that we're getting all the rewards of this. If you remember a couple weeks ago, all these coriander seeds were green, and now almost all of them are brown, and we want to wait for them to become fully brown. See, some up here are still a little green where these are a little brown. So even though this is just becoming more and more unattractive, the reward is coming in the seed here. And last week, if you remember, I don't want to pull on that too hard. That's all stuck together. But last week when we looked at the red romaine, we just saw these little parts here. Now we've got these little fuzz buds that look almost like dandelions, and that tells me that the seeds are ready in there, and you can kind of see the dark color in there of the seeds within. So I'm ready to take a lot of this off today and some of the seeds from this plant, but I really wanted to engage with you about letting ourselves go through what we as aesthetically desiring to be pleased humans, we just can't hardly look at stuff like this. And again, this salad is continuing to make lots of little seeds too, so I can come and harvest it. I've harvested a lot off of this one, but this will be my first harvest of coriander. And coming in here on the dill, I believe these are the little seed heads of the dill, because if you look over here, we've still got some flowers that are remaining, and these flowers have passed on. So again, we need to let this dry out, but if we look down here at the former foliage, it's coming that direction. And so we're just dealing with non-pretty right now, and obviously there's some things that I could go ahead and cut down. But look, I mean, over here we've got also the, what do you call that, arugula. It's almost coming into its time of seed. So just remember that sometimes the reward is not just in prettiness. There's the reward that comes from letting the plant go all the way through its cycle. This squash over here, what is this? I think this is a straight neck. No, it's a crook neck. So it's a yellow crook neck. And today I'm going to go through this morning while it stays cool and more of these are open. I'm going to go through and collect male flowers and put them in the refrigerator, because I believe next week we'll start to see some presentations of females. They're probably the ones there more in the middle. And so I'm going to start saving up some male pollen. And over here in the strawberry, it's gotten a little bit more flowers going, but this thing is just, you know, itself. This collard green is, I'd say it's taller than me. Like right here, this point right here is taller than me, and it's got the fattest, juiciest pods on it. And this weekend, a friend of my daughter's, her dad was picking her up, and he was like, wow, I wonder if you could eat these. And that's something to note, is that you actually can eat every part of these plants, whether it's a cauliflower or a Brussels sprout or a collard green or a broccoli. All of this is edible, and in some restaurants, you know, things like this and the flowers are delicacies. So it's worth it sometimes, like I said, to let yourself go all the way to, look at the fat pods on that. I think I might have to let this one finish because those seed pods just look so awesome and juicy. I might have to just let it keep going. And now this one over here is becoming a leaning tower of seeds. So we'll just have to see because I don't want to get into a lot of support work there. This big mamma jamma, I think this is a spaghetti squash. It's got a nice big bloom coming up there on it. And this tomato is coming along well. These two peppers are doing okay. A lot of people right now are seeing a thrash of weird little bugs that a lot of people think are squash bugs coming up, and they're actually called false cinch bugs, and they really like mustards. So that's one thing that when we get off here this morning, I'm going to come through and pull all this out. And our little bean plant back there is doing pretty good. And there's our okra, and this is I think a cucumber, and another squash over here doing awesome. The tomatoes, y'all, I want to tell you, and we're going to talk a little bit about this in a second, but the tomatoes keep me nervous, you know, because it's just, you know, when you've went through and you've grown something from seed, you just find yourself so overwhelmed with the progress and what's going on with it, and is it doing okay, and is it getting everything that it needs. And so that's something that I really want to remind you about today, because I find myself, you know, looking at people on Instagram, and you know, they've got tomatoes already, and they've got zucchinis already, and they've got some squashes already, and I'm just like, you know, kind of going a little crazy in my mind. But then I have to take a deep breath and remember that everybody's yard is different, everybody's growing plan is different, and everybody's success is going to be different, and that's okay. And so I want to remind you of that too, as when you're in your process, and even when you run into challenges, just take a deep breath, calm down, don't freak out. You can work through it, and if it completely fails on you, there's always next year. So know that that's coming from my heart, because like I said, I feel so much more attachment to this garden because I grew it all from seed, and so I have a lot of time invested in it. And so just remember that. Don't let yourself get down about your garden. Just keep working through the processes. Is it getting enough light? Is it getting enough water? Does it need to be fed? And then I'm here, and I'll help you find the answers if anything gets worse than that. So ultimately, even though I want to freak out, my husband Dale says that he thinks that these are all doing awesome. And I actually gave all of these plants and most of the new squashes in the rest of the beds a compost where I sprayed the leaves with a foliar feeding. So I have a little misting thing that you'd normally use for like to spray your plants for bugs or something, or you use to spray your yard. But I used it to spray a compost tea on there. And I just noticed that down here on the watermelon, we got a little flower, yay! So, and this one is wanting to climb too. So I've got cages, and I'm gonna put a cage out here on these pretty soon. There's another flower that formed. All the squashes over here have got lots of male flowers, so that's why I said I need to come in and get some male pollen saved up, and then next week when my females come along, I'll be ready just in case there's no males present at the time. I never did get this one moved over, but she's doing great, and I might just leave her here to see what happens. But some little flowers are forming there, so super happy with this progress. But it's getting all the feedings and all the foliar feedings and just the same as everybody over there. I did come in and I had to take out a bunch of deadheading of the calendula. I thinned out, wow, check out those pink ones. I've not seen those. Those are amazing. Wow, I'm so thrilled to see that. I've been out here working in this bed all morning, and I didn't even look up and see that pink. So that's just wonderful. That delights my day. But I thinned out a lot of the coriander. You can see it's going to big time seed, and I don't want it all over the yard. Over here, this bed is doing good. Last week in a video, I noticed that one of our radishes over here had a red shoulder, so I pulled it. See right there, that's when That one's coming in, that one's coming in. So, but I'll let my family have some of those. This is a cucumber. It looks like it might need some more magnesium. That cucumber's doing good. And this one here is just limping along, but we'll just keep trying to feed it and not freak out, because you know what, we got squash all over the yard. So we're just gonna ride the wave and go with the flow and not let any one thing in our garden freak us out. And over here, our flowers are all doing good. The sunflowers in the little entryway are looking great. This one's still a little weak, but I also gave them some tea this weekend. And all these cosmos are about to pop open flowers. Oh wow, I didn't know this. Look, this, I knew that it was getting ready to climb because I could see the little climbing tendrils, but I did not know that we had flowers over here on this cucumber. So I'm super excited about that. Look at that fat radish down there. I'm gonna have to get my husband out here and pull some radishes so that he gets to eat some. But look at all those little French radishes doing so great in there. We have not taken a cutting from this, but you can tell that it's ready. And so what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll take the biggest outer leaves so that these little leaves will come out and be the bigger leaves, and then more little leaves will come through there. I'm just continuing to let these cantaloupes go because there's nothing really else in this space right now, so we'll just see who survives, and if anything I can give them some support and let them all hang out. I took a big cutting off of all of the spinach, which is good because you can see that it's all going to seed. We're still a little mildly concerned with the status of the tomatillas, but it did continue to make some flowers this week. Back here in our crazy bed with the nasturtiums, if you're from the south, or nasturus. I can't say it how everybody else says it, so I just have to say it this way. So the next thing I'm looking to collect seeds from are the nasturtiums, the nasturtia, maybe that's how you say it. And these are the seeds on them. And so you can easily just kind of pop them off the plant and then let them dry. And if you come along and look on the ground where they've been laying, sometimes you'll find a bunch of seeds in there. So there's a seed. There's seeds. So I love these, and I'm going to collect all the seed that I possibly can. We need to take some cuttings off the mint. I think that's going to make that pop up. And this monster blue Hubbard, look at that giant flower. That's a male. And this is the one that's going to make a huge squash. So I'm definitely going to get that male off today. When I got the spinach, we took that and all this kind of what you call baby cabbage, and we put that together and made a salad with it. So we got rid of that. I took out almost all the kale. This exploded. This was not that big the other day. And I put that in the freezer. This tomato, see, I've got to get this kale cut off. I mean, I can almost just snap it off right now because I want this tomato to start getting some light and love. This watermelon, maybe it's just getting a little too much shade right now. Maybe this isn't okra. This looks a little bit more like a bean, and we never did get green beans in there. So now I'm gonna take you inside and I'm gonna show you how my slips are coming along, because I'm really stoked about the one long one. And my lesson of the day, like I said, was kind of this speech I gave you over there by the tomatoes, and that's to not let any one thing in your garden get you down, and just keep on growing. So let's go check out the slips. This one right here is just going gangbusters, and this is just one side. So we've got tons and tons of slips. These are the leaves in the plant coming up, and tons of roots coming off. So there's this side that goes all along here. And as I spin it around, I'll just lift it out. So see that? There's a bunch, there's a bunch, and there's a bunch. So there's like 3 big sections there. And this is, like I said, this is, I think I put it in the right way, into the water the correct way. And there's something about this nub and something about the bottom that I just noticed. But something about this is dramatically different than this over here, which you can see I moved into kind of a wider cup and I pitched it up on its sides. It's only still just kind of got productivity going on with this one right here. The one that's on the bottom just really isn't doing much. I think in the end, this still should have been the bottom. And my green onions, look at all that all new awesome growth. This was the last cut line, so everything above there is brand new. And look at that massive roots. That makes me feel awesome when I can see roots that are. So I change the water in these probably every 3 or 4 days, just to keep them from getting cloudy. You can see there's a couple of bugs in there. I need to get those out. But this is my fun little project going on with the slips. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little garden tour today. I don't have a ton of exciting things going on, but all of the flowers on the tomatoes and all the flowers on the squash means that very soon I'll have a whole lot of cool stuff to show you. So remember, just hang in there and keep growing. And if you need any advice or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me in the comments, go over to the about, get my email address, or find me over at Instagram. It's the same thing, All Purpose Mom. And I'll be happy to help you. So hang in there, and thanks again for coming back every week to see what we're doing, and we'll check in with you next week. Have the best day ever.